Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Angriest Man in Orlando. Hope everyone can hear me tonight. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome. We'll give it a few minutes for everyone to jump on board. Who wants to jump on board? As you know, we do the show live. And if you want to jump in live to give comments, concerns, questions, you could jump in. If you are watching this on playback, you can always just leave a comment. I will address it as it drops in. So, how's everybody doing tonight? All right, so it has been a mess with me. As you can see, got the mobile display behind me because we're still working on stuff here and it's just not right. So, stay tuned. You'll be seeing new images pop up behind me over the next couple weeks. It's always it's always like the hardest part between these holidays. Like especially Thanksgiving and Christmas. You have so much going on with everything that it's just you don't get a second to think and people get stressed out and they want to just let it out and this is the place to do it. So, feel free to do that. And even the people who you don't think are the busiest are pretty busy around this time. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of things happening. So let's get into it. Okay. I want to say thank you to anyone on the West Coast watching this for dinner. It's 6 o'clock out there. Thank you to Oxnard, California. Thank you, everyone out there. I want to say a big thanks to everyone in Albuquerque, New Mexico, who might be watching this. Hey, 7 o'clock. Welcome to the show. Anyone here from Des Moines, Iowa? Well, it's prime time. It's 8 o'clock, and you're tuning in. Thank you for showing up. And the good people in Columbus, Ohio, welcome to the 9 o'clock hour. And we're ready to kick this off. Yeah. All right. So, there was so much going on between last show and this show, and I didn't do a Thursday show. So I had to actually write notes. I've got notes today. So we'll go over the notes. And I guess we'll start with the biggest stuff first and go through from there. So if anyone has been reading news, reading Instagrams, Twitters, you may have known the little story about the CEO who didn't make it to the conference. Unfortunately, United Healthcare CEO was gunned down in New York City, I believe late last week. Um, right off the bat, I had a feeling seeing some of the camera footage that this was a personal matter. And a lot of people tried to say, oh, it could be a mafia hit. It could be a conspiracy. It could be the CIA. It could be somebody trying to mess with healthcare. No, the way it went down, it seemed very personal. And I came out and said, friends, I guess, that I think it was either his mother or his daughter or sister had gotten killed because of this healthcare group. And this was very personal. So I was close, really close. So they say his grandmother died in 2013 and his grandfather died in 2017. He had had some back surgery done and he wasn't very happy with it or something like that. And so, yeah, this was very much a personal vendetta hit. And the individual has now been apprehended, Luigi Mangione. Um, I feel bad for Chuck Mangione because Now his name is sullied, and Mangione name's a good name, so it's horrible to see this. So the guy was caught in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and there's a joke there from Steve Urkel somewhere in there. Didn't he have an aunt from Altoona? I think it was that. So he's at a McDonald's. An individual working at the McDonald's kind of thinks it's the guy who's on all the videos, all the photos everywhere, all this stuff. Calls the police to come down. Police question him and find out it is an individual they're looking for. They find a 9mm type of weapon because they're saying this was a ghost gun and may have been manufactured on its own, wasn't an actual gun. And what else? There were fake IDs, one which matched the name that was used on the ID to check into the hostel in New York that they believed the assailant had been at. There were multiple other IDs, a passport, a manifest explaining the whole thing. So I think they got their guy with this one. What's really strange is, and this is in the span of what, about 4 or 5 days, we found the guy. And then once we found the guy, within a matter of 24 hours, we know pretty much everything on him. We know where he went to school. We know who his family is. We know who some girl on Match.com matched with him, or Hinge, one of the two. We know what else? School, home life. We've got friends and family talking about. We know quite a bit about him. And while that's great, because we try to figure out an explanation on why this happened, does anybody really get the sense, why couldn't you have done this for the Trump assassin in Pennsylvania? We really didn't know anything about that guy, other than his parents were psychologists and he had a van with an explosive in it. That was about it. That was all we knew about him on that one. But this guy, within 24 hours, you knew his whole life story. You knew all his Facebook posts. You knew his Twitter feed. You knew everything about this guy. So, kind of a little weird, kind of a little suspicious, but we know all the stuff. And there are actually people now who are applauding this. Let me come out and say this. That's dumb. Okay, he's not a hero. If you wanted to be a hero, open up your own healthcare company and make it work the way it's supposed to work. Okay? You don't go gun down the CEO of another healthcare company. That's not the way to do it. You know? Insurance is a funny thing right now in the sense that it's geared more towards making profits than paying claims. So when insurance started, somebody would get injured, it would cost a lot of money to get fixed, healed. So they decided, people came together, said if we do a pot of money, we could put a little bit from everybody. And then if one of us gets hurt, we'll pay it out. They'll take care of the costs. So everyone got an opportunity that if something happened to them, they would be covered. They wouldn't be bankrupt. They wouldn't go poor. So that was the basic premise of what insurance was supposed to be doing for people. And somewhere along the line, they became public companies and decided we need to make shareholders money. So we need to cut back on expenses. What are your expenses? Well, they're paying claims for people. Okay. So if you cut back on that, you're not paying claims for people and you kind of defeat the whole purpose of what insurance actually is. So I think this may have rattled some companies. I saw a few companies take the names of their board of directors and executives off of websites, try and take pictures down so that people wouldn't be targeted. So, if anything good comes out of this, which I really don't see anything good, but maybe they will start to revert back to putting claims first and profit second so that people can get paid out for whatever procedures they need, medical help, home insurance, paying for stuff that happens at your home, car insurance, paying for stuff when there's an accident or some kind of damage to your car, rental insurance. Like it really runs the gamut of insurances. There's not anyone who's doing an amazing job that I would even suggest go join that insurance company right now. And I've seen a lot of these insurance companies. I can't recommend any of them to you. So that says a lot about what's really going on out there. But maybe this wakes up the companies and says people are really pissed and somebody got killed for this. Perhaps we should turn around and look back at what we once were. So the individual is in Pennsylvania right now. They're trying to get him extradited to New York. I believe he's fighting it. I'm not sure why. You seemed pretty okay with doing everything and kind of nonchalantly getting out of the area. I mean, he didn't try to run to the Bahamas or go to Mexico or something. He pretty much just kept doing what he was doing. So it's just kind of weird, kind of strange individual. So we'll be updating that as it goes along with what's going on, what's happening. And if any other big developments break on that, we'll go to that. And hopefully, um, this does bring a bit of closure to the family. I mean, it's got to be devastating to be going through it, but you do have some type of explanation of what happened now. So, hopefully, there. We're going to move to another story that was breaking in New York City. New York City was going through a lot this week. The Daniel Penny trial ended. The first charge was dismissed. Second charge was acquitted on. Both were essentially manslaughter charges. And he could have been spending up to 4 years in prison on the second charge. The first charge they did dismiss, so that one had 15 years, but they weren't going to even get close to that. So he was looking at about maximum 4 years in prison. So the case is basically this: he was on a subway train last year and saw an individual who walked into the train car and started screaming that he wanted to hurt somebody. Other people on the train car said he was agitated and trying to lurch toward someone. Now, I don't know why he or what he was on, what he was doing. He had been described as a Michael Jackson impersonator who was a friendly guy. Okay. Daniel Penny tried to restrain him after he was trying to lurch towards people and subsequently held him in a hold that cut off oxygen and killed the individual. You have to take it at the time that it's going on, okay? There's a lot of crime going on in New York City, a lot of random attacks of violence, a lot of murders, a lot of assaults. So you don't know who is coming at you at any time. So to see someone who is telling you they're going to hurt someone, I kind of I applaud him for taking the initiative. Um Certainly you don't want to just pull out your phone and video a guy attacking people, sorry. Um you want to stop it if you can. If you can. He had, I believe, some training of some sort and was able to stop the individual. He wasn't trying to kill him based on his testimony at the trial. He just tried to hold him until I guess he thought he was subdued. Um I think it says that people are done feeling victimized. People don't want to be victims anymore. And this lets out the message that, hey, we're not going to take it anymore. The world's healing. And I think a lot of things are changing and will change over the next few months where you're going to see things going back or possibly closer to back to where they were, where if you have an individual who's yelling, screaming, and going crazy and indicating he could harm someone, well, that individual is going to get taken down now. And this pretty much lets people know that we're not going to take it anymore. We are agreeing with you that in certain circumstances, force needs to be used to take this individual down. So, in a way, it's good. Let's Good Samaritans know that if something happens and you step in, you're not going to be charged. But again, this is not a open call to brawling and just, hey, someone said something stupid, so let me go knock them out. That's not what this is either. Um, there has to be a clear intent that danger is going to happen. Someone is going to get hurt. Something is going to happen. There's a threat made to someone, and that would be the case for something like this, where taking preemptive action to stop it. So, Mr. Penny walked free. I believe he was seen at a bar after getting a drink with his lawyers. So it sets precedent that they're not going to take it anymore. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You know, you shouldn't be scared to stand up for someone. And I hope that New York City, through these events of this past week, can start changing and start healing itself. I think, you know, certainly need to be more alert. You need to be more ready for things coming, because there is still the environment of danger in that city. But I think this shows people that you could stand up for it and change will happen. So those were two big stories that happened up in New York City. And so now we're going to go globally, what was going on over the past week. So, as we talked about last week, the South Korean president declared martial law. Then overnight, was overruled by their local parliament. He revoked the martial law and then subsequently was impeached for invoking the martial law. So the country's not doing that great right now. Um, it's still shaky there with what's going to happen. Um, the president is still there at the current time of this recording, but certainly South Korea has become unstable, and we're not quite sure what's going to happen over there. Now, I don't think it's going to be a lot of civil war or even civil unrest, but certainly people are now second guessing whether to invest in that country and what to do with buying stuff from there. If government falls and money supply is strained, it's certainly going to be troublesome trying to get things in and out of there, trying to get cars out of there, trying to get electronics out of there, which two of their big exports. So we're gonna have to wait and see if this president survives the impeachments. I believe there are multiple, and we'll see where it goes from there. So that was country one going down. Country two was France. So France invoked a vote of no confidence with their prime minister, which basically threw their prime minister out immediately and threw everything into a crazy type of blender where no one really knows who's really doing what. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, was at the Notre Dame ceremony Friday night. Seemed very cheerful. I think he was just happy that they were opening the cathedral again. There was a firefight years ago that burned through the roof and several of the structures, and they have since rebuilt and opened it back up, which brought a lot of world leaders, world debutantes there. So everyone was able to kind of talk and get to see what was going on with everything. So they have to find a new prime minister in order to get some of these votes through their parliamentary system and to okay budgets for the next year for 2025 for France. So the longer it goes without them doing it, it's same as America. You could possibly not have a budget passed, which makes some things may not get funded or the funding may not go through, which could hold stuff up. So that country is in a bit of a shambles right now until they can figure out what's going on with their parliament and who's going to actually be running it. So that's country number two that goes down. And in like the old baseball rule, three strikes are out. We had a third country go down over the weekend. That was the country of Syria. It's over in the Middle East, right by Turkey, in between Turkey and Iraq. And that country, the president actually got overthrown. So Assad is the president's name. And the rebels seem to get a stronghold in picking up cities on the southeastern coast and kind of just started marching and marched pretty quickly towards Damascus and took over pretty much everything. So Assad was gone. He booked it. Him and his family got on a plane, were seen leaving and heading towards Moscow, where they landed. President Putin of Russia gave him asylum in Moscow, so he's there, hanging out, chilling. Hope he got all his family out because they will kill pretty much any of his family at this point. Between him and his father, it's been about a 25-year rule between the two of them. So a lot of atrocities. You're starting to hear the stories. You're starting to see the tapes and video of all that stuff that's coming out. There was a prison that was terrible. There were hospitals where there were tortured victims being held. A lot of stuff is just a mess over there. And it does a couple things. One, Assad being an ally of Iran and kind of also Russia, um, it kind of breaks the stronghold over the Middle East. Now you kind of have a lot of different powers out there where allies are starting to break away from everybody. So it's it's kind of like throwing all the paint at a board and just swashing it all together now. You don't know who's in charge out there, who's got authority, who's got an ally, who's going to do what right now, because nobody knows who they can rely on out there. So it's a mess out there. Some powers are going to take a step back. Russia, is still fighting the war in Ukraine. They weren't able to help in Syria. So they need to try to build back their forces and take a step back with that. Um, Iran now doesn't have the, ally ability as they once did. So they may take a step back from everything. Things may cool down a little. We'll have to see how it goes. Number two to think about is who's this new power coming in? Who are these rebels? I've heard some of them may have been associated with Al Qaeda. Um, there are U.S. forces in Turkey trying to fight ISIS from growing back up. Could they be associated with ISIS? We don't know who any of these individuals really are. We have some ideas of who they are. And right now, it seems like they're taking a let's stand back and see what's going on. Now, the rebels have come out and said they're going to be looking for a more modern society where women will not be held back. They will not be persecuting minorities. They will not be going after allies of the Assad regime. They want to stabilize the country and bring it back to working order very quickly so that everything can get moving. So then we will have to see what their governing ability is and where they wish to work with. So it's kind of all over the place with that one. So that was three good sized countries that went down in about a week. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, France is an ally of us. We have good ties with South Korea. So we don't want to see them get all jumbled up with stuff and not be able to keep their countries moving. But is this a point where people are now rising up and saying we're sick of the way things were going and we need to change them in order to get better? So you're going to have to wait and see approach with a lot of the stuff simply because elections go through, countries get remade, new regimes come in, and we have a new regime coming into the US January 20th. What about 32 days? Well, about a little over a month from now or so. It's going to be changing of the guard here. We're going from President Biden back to President Trump. And he's already been talking about what he wants to do here with the government and the country. And so all those things will start taking effect and playing on politics of other countries. Will they be able to handle it? Will they not be able to handle it? If they start going down, will there be calls for their resignations or overthrows? So a lot of stuff will be kind of fluid over the next couple months as things are being evaluated and looked at and seen. So keep your eyes and ears open. We still got what? 21 days, 3 weeks left in this year. Will there be another country that goes down? Will there be another change in leadership? Will there be anything that states that there could be chaos coming? So keep your eyes and ears open for that. All right, so that's the politics of the world going on right now. A lot of stuff happening. So, want to move into the next topic, which is the economy. And as we come to the end of a year that has been crazy at times, hard, um, not realizing what's actually going on, not sure where to go from here. You can always see the changing of the year as a sign that you can change yourself. So everybody starts trying new things. Oh, I'm going to try a new diet. Oh, I'm going to try a new way to get to work. I'm going to try a new job, a new work. They try all kinds of new things. You try to change. You change your year, you change your life. So, something that a lot of people do is they'll start a business. And a lot of people just think, oh, well, you just make stuff and sell stuff, and that's your business. It's not hard, pretty easy. At least a lot of people think. But amazingly, a good amount of businesses never make it off the ground. I think it's like something like 7 in 10 never make it off the ground. And so, as a business person myself, I run a small company. I thought I would go over just a few things that I do in my company so that you can realize it's not just making stuff and selling stuff, it's a lot more of everything in there. So, I actually made a list of everything or every position that I hold at the company so that you can kind of understand what it is to actually start a company. So you start at the top. You're definitely the CEO. You're the CFO. You're the COO. Your maintenance. Your shipping and receiving. Your manufacturing. Your customer service. Your quality control. And you work a lot of late nights, or even odd hours. I would say sometimes it can be a weekend thing that hits. So I don't bring all this stuff to diminish the ability to do it. I say if you want to do it, just go in with a good plan and an ability to see your way through it. The first couple years, you probably won't make much money, if any. Um, I would say don't borrow money to start a business. That's a big problem that a lot of people do. They say, well, if I get a personal loan for $5,000, that'll help me buy stuff and then I'll be able to sell it and then I'll make that money back and pay off the loan. Well, it's good in theory. It's a good theory. But if there is a kink or, a down cycle in the economy, or people just don't like the product you have, that can easily turn everything into pretty much the Titanic. You're going down. And then you have to pay back your personal loan and also try to pay yourself in the business and survive and keep it going. So don't ever start a business borrowing money. That's a good tip. Um, find out what you really like to do to start your business. If you love toothpaste and you have a chemical formula to make good tasting toothpaste, do that. If you like baking and you want to make your own bakery company, there's a ton of them out there. So you're really going to have to find something that's either really different or really good. So if you like woodworking and you want to build stuff, okay, build interesting things, but make sure you're having fun with it. Make sure it's something you want to do because when it gets rough, those are the times where you have to look at it as, man, I like what I do. It's just really hard right now. And that's what keeps you going through those down cycles and those bad times with the business. Not every year is going to be a banner year. You're not going to sell $100,000 every year. Some years you're only going to sell $10,000 worth of stuff. Some years you might even sell $100 worth of stuff. So you have to have motivation doing this company that you're going to start in order for you to get through all that. Going into it, yeah, your maintenance and cleanup. I mean, you pretty much are going to have to clean everything up when you're done. There's no buying, there's no renting the cleaning crew and getting them in there to do it. Another thing people don't think about is customer service. You are the customer service. Okay. You have to deal with the problems that arise when they happen. Somebody gets something and it's broken. Somebody gets something and it's not correct. Somebody gets something and they're not happy with it. You have to set the rules. You know, are you going to do returns? Are you going to try to get new parts out to them or something? Are you going to try to replace that item? You have to come up with that process before you even get going. So when you do have, and I had it. Somebody called up, said it was broken. You have to figure out how are you going to handle it. Yelling and screaming at the person is not the greatest thing. So you do want to have some customer service experience, or at least watch a video on YouTube about it, so that way you can better handle the situation when it happens and get through it. You can't just, tell your salesperson to handle it. This is you. The first probably year or so, it's probably just going to be you doing it. Like you won't make enough money to get other employees into this thing until you really get it off the ground. Unless you have some like mind-breaking new invention or something. In which case I say go to Shark Tank, get some money from them, and then hire as many people as you want. But a lot of small businesses are just, in your garage, in your kitchen, in your living room. You know, Amazon was just what? The guy was just selling books out of his garage. You know, he's just basically reselling books. He didn't have a lot of employees. Even when he got an office, I think he only had like his wife and maybe one other person. I don't even think that. So don't think, hey, I'm going to start the company in a year. I'll have like 10 employees and I can just tell one of them to do it. And I can sit back in my chair and just enjoy life. It's not how it goes. Not how it goes. Another thing is quality control. You have to check your own stuff. Do not just assume, especially if you're getting it from a third party and trying to resell, as a lot of people I see do. Um, you have to make sure that those products are good products. If you're reselling Disney shirts from another company, you're putting your name on the label and you're shipping it, but is that a good quality shirt? Is it worth it? Is the price target at the right level? You have to look at all that stuff and know what does the market say for that. Shipping and receiving, you got to deal with, how do I ship this? What company do I use? What's a good price to ship it? How do I ship it? You could build a geschmoigen and it gets to the person and it's broken. Well, you got to learn shipping. You got to learn how to do stuff like that. And then again, you're the boss, but being the boss means you have to handle all this stuff. It is not just a sit back and deal with the money and the checks and all that stuff. Like even CEOs of major companies are not just sitting back. With this shooting that happened with this CEO, everyone thinks, well, he just made the decision to not give insurance. Well, first off, he may or may not have even given that individual decision. He may be implementing stuff that, yes, cuts some programs, but he's basically bringing together people that are implementing plans. So He has several departments at his place. He's bringing together the people that can run those departments, which are bringing together the people that are going to manage them, that bring together the people that are actually going to work in those departments. So, as a CEO, you have to be able to manage all this stuff and manage the people. And if you see something going bad in one department, you have to kind of step in and handle it. So, while CEOs do get paid a shit ton of money, some of them actually do get involved in the business and really try to build it up. And so getting paid that much is kind of, I would say, worth it. It depends on how much they can get into it and get the company going. So what else was there? I think we covered most of the things that you have to look at when you're starting a business that a lot of people just don't think about, and they assume they're just in their shop just painting stuff or whatever they're doing, and it'll all just money will flow in from there, and it's not as easy as that. Again, some companies never make money, and so you got to be careful. And the biggest thing that if you want to start a company, and I hate it because I have to look at it every year, is new regulations. So if the government comes out and states, well, you have to file this new form because you're starting a company in this year, so we need it or we're going to fine you. You need to fill out these papers with this department or we're going to fine you. You need to have this much space for your business or we're going to fine you. You need to hire these type of people or we're going to fine you. That's the biggest thing that goes on that a lot of companies just starting out seem to miss is how much regulation. Who do you have to register with? What departments of the government you have to register with? What type of forms you have to fill out? If you're dealing with anything hazmat, that is definitely a pain in the ass. So the regulation side of it is terrible, but you do have to do it in order for your business to be on the level that it is to get going and everything stays okay. You certainly don't want to be writing checks for fines to government agencies. It sucks. I know. I know. So, if you're looking to start a new business in the next year, congratulations. It's a fun time. It is. When you see sales come through and you do your reports at the end of the year and you see how much you made versus how much you spent, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I did that. It's a great feeling. Just make sure you're doing it right and you check off all the boxes on everything that you're supposed to be doing, and it goes pretty smoothly and you have a good time. Just enjoy it. It's your business. It's have ownership in it. Enjoy it. Make sure it's making you happy. If it's not, well, hopefully you're still working at your other job and keeping your paycheck going until it does take off. So you can always stop it, start it back up in a few years if you think it's better then, but enjoy it. Enjoy it because it's yours. It's yours. All right. So, what else do we want to talk about tonight? I know I went a little long with all the subjects, so I wasn't sure if we were going to do an extra topic. See, we're on about 45 minutes. If anyone wants to drop anything in the chat, don't see much in there. We'll talk about. Well, I guess we can bring up some Disney news. Chris Evans will be returning back to the MCU for Disney. So, $1 million movies might be back just in time to save their bacon. Epic Universe is still chugging along. New videos are being put out of all the attractions that are going to be there. So, go check that out online. Moana 2 came out and made a pretty good amount of money. Um, It's not a good thing because it tells them that sequels work and we'll just bang out sequels to the end of time, which is not great. We need some original stuff. We need something exciting. Local to Orlando, the Tom Sawyer Island destruction plan has come to a halt, simply because Florida is now stopping them due to the plans not explaining correctly how they're going to run some water out of there and how it's going to affect the environment around them. So that is on hold from what I've heard. So anyone who wants to come do Tom Sawyer Island, do the riverboat, they still have time. They still have time. Still going to be running, still going to be there. A lot of stuff is actually still sticking around. Dinosaur, which was supposed to be going down at Animal Kingdom, is actually going to be staying around till the end of 2025. So you'll be able to still see it, ride it. And the Muppets are getting moved over to Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, and they'll be the new soundtrack for that. So we're not losing Muppets, but damn, that was Jim Henson's last show that he really worked on. It will be sad to see it go. It's like a work of art, you know? You don't want to redo redo the Mona Lisa. So that's the man's creation, you know? Someone should save it, put it in a movie house or something, you know? Anyway, so that's what's going on. Um Anything else we're mad about here? No, I think we're good. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. I will be on Thursday night on 2 Men in a Room on the 2 Men in a Room channel. I'll be back there. We'll have some fun there. And then every Thursday, you'll see me here, the Angriest Man in Orlando channel, going over everything so you understand, so you don't have to be angry. The world's healing. We're doing okay now. So, all right, have a great night. I'll see you next week. And as always, stay angry.